Ladies and gentlemen, gunkins and droids across our beloved empire, to today's video where it's long overdue and we got a lot to talk about, and that is ranking all the Omicrons in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes for every single game mode from best to worst. Last time we made this video was May 2022, and let's just say that there's been a couple of updates since the last time I made this video. As always, thank you so much for all the likes you provide. My gosh, glad you enjoyed this stuff. I gotta admit, I'm always excited to do these ranking videos, but I'm especially excited for this one today because a lot has happened. And I don't know, maybe I like Omicrons more. Since Datacrons came, I've appreciated more what Omicrons are meant to be. Permanent power that transforms a lot of different teams. So we got a lot to talk about. Let's get into it and talk about the Grand Arena Omicrons. As we did last time, we're gonna rank these Omicrons from S all the way to F. Why does it start up with S and not A? I don't make the rules. Them be the rules. If you want to change those rules, overthrow whoever decided to put S above A, but nonetheless, S tier, best Omicrons in a particular game mode. F, neither is impressed in regards to them. And people always ask me, how do I like distributing my Omicrons? I am very specific. It depends what your enjoyment of the game is. For me, even with the whole Datacron situation, Grand Arena is still my preferred game mode for Omicron. So I usually put 70% of my Omicrons for Grand Arena and 30% for territories, and I don't recommend territory battles and conquest raid Omicrons yet, and we'll talk about that. But let's get into the Grand Arena Omicrons here first. In terms of S tier, I've made a few changes since last time and a few new additions. Starkiller, Wampa are still on the list like last time. S tier Omicrons. S tier Omicrons, you need to be doing something like transformative, like you're really transforming a team into something they could never ever do before, and you can beat a ton of stuff. It's one thing elevating a faction or a team. It's a difference to elevating and like destroying galactic legend type of teams out there. But new to this list is going to be the Darth Malgus Omicron on his leadership ability, Savage Press, which is basically Wampa 2.0, but just more flexible. You can put it on offense or defense and put characters with Savage. You can't do that with Wampa. And due to popular demand, and I kind of agree, we're putting Qui-Gon up here. Now, Qui-Gon, not a galactic legend killer type of thing, but to be honest, when I think of Grand Arena, what's like the first Omicron that comes to mind? It's kind of Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon is one of those things so cheesy, but you can make a lot of great use just out of it. Qui-Gon, Omicron, Anakin, beating things like sometimes General Anakin Skywalker, Commander Luke Skywalker. Still kind of a big deal. I think it's more of an A tier, but I could definitely see the argument for S tier, and I think it's kind of the heart of what a Grand Arena Omicron should be. So I threw Qui-Gon in there as well. Otherwise, these are what I consider to be the must-have Omicrons. Some of these basically kind of mini galactic legends, like Darth Malgus and Starkiller, for example. Moving down to the A tier, did a little bit of demotion, taking Zam Wesell, knocking her down from the S tier to A tier. Since May 2022, I found myself using Zam maybe less and less, and this could be because how Datacrons have affected the game. And keep in mind, these Omicron rankings are setting aside Datacrons, but just for me personally, I found myself using Zam less, Beskar Mando more in lineups that I would normally use. Now, she's great still, being able to outrun certain Star Killer teams to get the kills up and running, but I just don't feel like her Omicron is nearly as transformative or especially as useful as a lot of these S tier. That's probably gonna be the spiciest one on my list today that you guys are probably gonna argue here. On top of that, we have ourselves Ben Solo, new to the list. You need to get that Force Dyad on Ben Solo. If you are gonna get Ben Solo, again, not the best conquest unit we've had, but still useful and decent. I find him more useful than Boba Fett, Sign of Jango in territories, and he's useful in Grand Arena, especially with these Grand Arena Omicrons. Force Dyad turns Rey into a way more annoying jerk than she deserves to be in this game. Adding an extra layer to the puzzle, having him revive when the leader's taking a turn, and then also having you can't kill off Rey until Ben is dead. But Ben can't die until Rey's under 50% health. It's a really weird puzzle, and there are ways to really cheese the heck out of it, like with Hermit Yoda, Shorty, many other things here. Staying on the list as well as First Order TIE Pilot, great addition to the First Order. Pretty much makes no dead weight in the First Order faction with the new Omicrons this year. Popular demand as well. I moved Dash as well as Iden up. I had him in B tier to A tier, and my reasoning was people sometimes conflate how good a team is with their Omicron, and that's sort of true, but it sort of isn't. Dash and Iden, already fantastic characters, right? Without the Omicron, I feel like the Omicron doesn't transform the team. but it does make them a little bit better. But because those two sometimes get conflated, I think it's not that hard of an argument to say it's A tier. So we're bringing them up to A tier. Definitely usable, but I don't think they're as transformative as the first order Tide Pod Omicron or Zam for that matter. And also to the list is Radis. It's useful. It's good. It's not the best, greatest Omicron of all time, but it's taking a lot of leftover rogue ones that normally aren't good and turning them into a fairly decent team inside of Grand Arena. And sometimes you can maybe cheese your way through a Jedi Master Kenobi, which is a little wild. Moving down the B tier Omicrons. These Omicrons are, some of them do transform faction, but not maybe to the level of the A or S tier Omicrons that exist out there. For example, we have ourselves the Tusken Raider, also demoted. Tusken Raider, it's taking characters that are normally useless, required for Galactic Legends, making them useful. It's not really an Omicron that's transforming the end game and making it impossible. They're not like some god tier level team, but they're still useful to cheese your way through teams that especially don't have ways to ignore taunts or don't have a high AoE type of damage out there. Chirpa and Akbar, I feel like perfectly describe what this tier is about. They do transform the Rebel and the Ewok faction respectively, but maybe not to the level of, First Order TIE Pilot, Zam, Qui-Gon Jinn, and whatnot, but still very good. And again, taking leftover stuff, especially for that Jedi Master Luke farm, making them useful, of course. And then we have another branch of this where these aren't typically leader abilities. Of Darth Malgus' unique ability, as well as another Ben Solo, Luminara, and Hondo. But these are still good. They're not probably a high priority ones, but if you have some extra Omicrons laying around, these are probably a couple to look into. Having Hondo get a lot of Terminator at the very start of battle can sometimes set you up really well and really dives into that whole hostage situation a lot more. I will admit, Luminara, I feel like I'm preemptively starting her off here. I haven't seen a ton of gameplay. She seems all right. I suspect, kind of like Juhani, we'll talk about Juhani in Territory Wars, she might go up or down depending on how things go the next couple months. But initial press art, it seems like an okay Omicron. Not mind-blowing, but we got to find the right home for it. C-tier Omicrons, a lot of these are not necessary. Again, if you just love a character or you're swimming in Omicrons, which not a lot of us are, these are kind of Omicrons that I haven't found entirely helpful, or they're just cherries on top. Like Starkiller, you really just need one Omicron on Starkiller. Throw down his unique ability, and that's all you really need. But if you have spare Omicrons, you like the character a lot, go ahead and throw those other two on him. Leia, you don't really need Leia to get the most out of the Akbar Omicron, but it's just a cherry on top. Talon, I was this close to put it in the F tier. Mainly because, especially nowadays, you're not using Darth Talon in a Sith trio line, but Darth Trey. It's a Darth Malgus, and Omicron literally has no benefit for the most part with the Darth Malgus team. And secondly, even with Trey, it wasn't really that great of an Omicron to begin with. So the Omicron, I wish it was a bit better, but it isn't, unfortunately. Asajj hasn't really impressed me. I've encountered Asajj in my free-to-play Grand Arena, endgame Grand Arena. Doesn't seem to do all that much. I think it's just meant to make the offensive battles just a little bit better. But if Palpatine, Imperial Troopers, and the usual counters can still run them over, Omicrons are expensive. You want something good out of them. And then, of course, you have the leftover Malgus as well as Ben. And new to the list is we got the Chrysanthemum Omicron in there. Not an important Omicron. It just increased the durability, but of course, an extra bit of protection does make a difference on Chrysanthemum, but not a noticeable difference where it's probably changing the Jabba lineup. And an F tier, I still got Krennic down here. Yeah, of course, there's something there, but it's just not a game-changing Omicron. I think there are way better options. Even for my free-to-play, where I would love to invest in Krennic Omicron, I'm just not seeing the value for it, unfortunately. And same thing of Rose Tico, not really all that important of an Omicron. And before you get mad at me and comment down below, why are the droids down there? We have Trip 000, that is in BT1. They're in the F tier, but there's a question mark next to them. I don't know where they're ranking me. I've seen zero gameplay on them, and even if I did, I don't know if we're going to see the full picture. Truly, I do believe we're not going to understand them until Dr. Afro comes into the picture. So for right now, they're not F tier, but I just need to put a question mark in there somewhere. So they're undetermined for the time being. So that's going to be the Grand Arena Omicrons right there. Again, in my opinion, for the overall experience of Galaxy Heroes, I think 70% of your Omicrons should go to Grand Arena and 30% the territory. Maybe you disagree with me. Maybe you think it's 70% Territory Wars and 30% Grand Arena, which, boy, that's a bold statement right there. Territory Wars is a little bit more interesting. Let's dive into this here. In terms of those S tier, those top level Omicrons that pretty much like, I feel like if you have these, you're kind of good. Like this is the 30% I'm talking, whereas the 70% in Grand Arena, you can kind of pick between the A, B, and C tiers for extra stuff. Here for territories, I think for the best bang for buck, get those S tier ones. You're pretty much golden at this point here. With the territory wars, oh boy, hopefully we get that. We got to put Juhani in there. I just noticed, oh boy, mentally put a Juhani in there. We'll fix that. The ones you need are the Captain Phasma lead, Mace Windu Shatterpoint, Mara Jade's Emperor's Hand. Juhani's in there. I'm blind. The tactical. Hello, it's right there. Juhani is in there. Juhani was a character that bumped up big time. She's amazing for Star Killer. Ahsoka Tano Fulcrum is basically the Wampa of Territory Wars. Boba Fett Sign of Django. I feel bad for the guy. Yes, he can beat some stuff, but he's just. It's one. I wish I could get my Omicrons back. My guild pretty much stopped using Boba Fett Sign of Django, but nonetheless, trying to stay on topic. It is a great Omicron that transforms the Boba Fett Sign of Django team. I just feel like it's a non-useful. It's not a very useful team in the game. But what is more impressive is the Grand Inquisitor. Grand Inquisitor is mathematically, in my opinion, way better than Boba Fett Sign of Django for the most part, and more useful than Boba Fett Sign of Django. But the problem with Boba Fett Sign of Django is that there are teams that do what he does, sometimes better with no Omicron investment, and they work in Grand Arena as well. That's the biggest problem with Boba Fett Sign of Django. But if you do have him, get the lead. I think you can probably stop there. We do have some other Omicrons that do make it better, but I don't think it's needed. With the Grand Inquisitor, although I do think he's great, with the Omicrons and Territory Wars, that's kind of his domain. It's an expensive one. You truly need 2 Omicrons on the guy. You need the lead 1000%, but you also need a special ability which pretty much gets the insta kill on the enemies once 6 stacks of Purge go. And now keep in mind the insta kill is only for Jedi, but you know, you might come across things like Jedi Master Luke Skywalker, General Anakin Skywalker, and having an insta kill is great. Otherwise, this is kind of the must-haves here. If you have Star Killer, you gotta have Juhani. If you have Mara Jade and Palpatine, give it to her. I have a Gear 9 Mara Jade, and I've been using that Omicron for so long. It's fantastic. These are definitely the must-haves, the best Omicrons on top of that. And things kind of get a little interesting with the A, B, C, and the F tier. I feel like at this point, everything else is not 100% necessary unless you just love territories like maybe how I prefer Grand Arena. Boba Fett Sign of Django, if you are going to go all in on the guy, getting those other 2 abilities on him is probably going to be the way to go for the A tier. It's just one of those things again. I feel like, people starting, people weren't too sure what I meant, and now they're going through territories like, oh, I get what you mean. Yeah, it's the Omicrons don't feel like they're worth their weight on Boba Fett Sign of Django for the team that he forms and how he fits in meta. And now, of course, they can add a Datacron, but we're not looking at Datacrons here. Embo's great. Kind of overkill, I'll be honest. Embo's Omicron just makes Jabba unnecessarily so much better, so much durable. At times, it takes the enemy literally like the whole entire 5 minutes to beat the team because of all the protection stuff going on the regeneration that's on the team. So Embo, if you have Jabba, go for it. Otherwise, you can definitely skip on it. So definitely a bit of a caveat with that Embo. Probably should put like a little Jabba notification next to it. Moving on to B tier. You know, there isn't really a lot of Omicrons that give me that Dashrandar Iden type of vibe. But we have Harrison Dula, Darth Sidious. They're not the best Omicrons, but you know, they slightly benefit their Sith counterparts or their Phoenix counterparts. It's just not a big necessity, it feels like. And then we will throw that 3rd Omicron for Grand Inquisitor in that B tier slot. You don't really need it. It's nice. You need the other 2 for sure at minimum to get the most out of the Grand Inquisitor inside of Territory Wars. And then C tier. I don't know if it's really worth spending too much time with these guys. I mean, these are really things probably the most notable one in my opinion is probably T tier and 4 because droids kind of have a weird function in territories. Sometimes you see them be used of Grievous or Shorty, not too often. I just don't think you're going to get that much mileage because the problem here's I think the problem I'm trying to get at territories. The meta is a lot smaller than it is Grand Arena. Grand Arena, you need a lot more teams for offense. You need a lot more teams for defense. Territories is just not like that. So the chance of T3 and 4 being important are kind of slim right now. But you know, who knows? Maybe with the new BT Triple might see more use out of them. Otherwise, the Jawas of Chief Chirpa, Jin, Omicron, T3, Farm Boy Luke, and even Skipguard Lando. I don't feel like Skipguard Lando, even for Jabba, is really that necessary. So I would say likely these aren't Omicrons you're going to want to put in unless it's the only character you have and you want to feel like you're enjoying an Omicron. Okay, otherwise you have a lot of other better Territory War options. And Inquisitors, please don't put a single Omicron. It's not because I don't like them. It's just because they have no use. They're not great Omicrons. at all. And eventually, once you get the Grand Inquisitor, you're not even going to use it. And a lot of the leads with their Omicrons, they're just not useful whatsoever. And there's actually some people that did them all. If you're a big fan of Inquisitors, you just want to brag about from a collection perspective, cool. But due to the how lucrative Omicrons are, how difficult they are, and how important they need to be, please, if that's like the biggest waste, the only time I want to see you do it is if you lost a bet. Territory battles, conquest raids. Okay, I got a very interesting, that's not even, not interesting, it's kind of the mainstream opinion. Generally, for now, I don't recommend territory battle, and especially conquest raid Omicron. Territory battles, I assume the next time I make this list, I'm gonna have a different tune, a different, I don't know, beat in my step when it comes to territory battles. With the new territory battle around the corner, I'm sure they're gonna be a lot more important. You might even see me apply some territory Omicrons. Right now, I don't have any territory Omicrons, mainly because I have territory nailed down. I have the teams, and technically, you all too at one point will have the right light side teams and dark side teams to handle territory. But there are two, if you know, maybe three, that I would recommend for people, especially newer rosters, and it might take a while to actually finally get those teams needed for territories that don't need Omicrons. I highly, highly, highly recommend Finn, because you can make a lot of use out of leftover resistance members, and also Rebel Officer Leia Organa, because in case you have to platoon the Commander Luke Skywalker team, you still have a very functional Rebel team, and they pretty much trivialize, make it incredibly easy to do territory battles. The third one that I might recommend, it's kind of pushing it, Omega Bad Batch, part of the squad. I recommend this if you want to start putting Cadmundi on easy mode for the mission. I haven't seen the same impact in terms of combat missions like Finn or Rebel Officer Leia Organa, but Cam, you know, if you don't want to deal with the Shock T RNG, they pretty much make it a guaranteed win for Cam, maybe even full auto. I don't want to go that far with it, but very simple to knock it out. But the thing is, Cadmundi isn't really that important in the game, not needed for anything, and they're not really like meta. They're a decent Jedi I could find a home in Master Kenobi or Jedi Revenant Master, but they're not like needed. You're not missing out on anything. Like Wat Timber, you're missing out. So that's part of the problem. I don't know if I want to recommend an Omicron for a specialist that's already beatable without the Omicron, and for a character that's not all that important, but it's the third one I would kind of recommend. Otherwise, some of these might become more important. I think Probe Droid, Cassian, and Gamoran Guard might become important, as well as Karth. I don't think Karth is a great Omicron right now, but with the mixed territory battle coming soon, this could change. So my opinions might change in a few months, and I expect it will, but as of now, November 2022, I'd skip out on it, and really, Conquest and Raids, please don't. I know Shorty's a great character. I like Shorty. Omicrons for a Conquest is kind of dumb. Conquest relies on a ton of teams. That's number one. Secondly, you might not even need droids. Like, I don't think I really used many droids for this past Conquest that's going on right now. Not worth it. You want to use it something that's more important, where you're going to get a lot more meaningfulness out of it. And also Bush Leia, she's got an Omicron for raids that's decent. I don't think it's that transformative. Like, if I'm putting an Omicron on, I want to be able to like do like 50% of a phase, or 100%. Not say asking for a full auto clear, but it's not really doing anything like drastic where I'm seeing like 50% runs or anything like that. You pretty much, even with the Omicron, you're kind of more or less getting a similar output of them. So, but maybe there's gonna be a new raid down the road, kind of like how I was never liking Territory Omicrons. I might like raid Omicrons one day if they release a new raid down the road. So time will tell, my friends, but as it stands, that's gonna be our November 22, 2022 all Omicrons ranked best of worst for every game mode. And I'm curious to see what this list is gonna look like next time. As always, there's gonna be a link down below if you want to get access to our list here that we made together. And I guess, remember, there's one more thing. Always remember, my friends, that it's great to be in the Empire today.